Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley, USC rolling into week 2. Georgia Southern coming to town. And look, I get there are some off the field storylines with Coach Helton coming back to USC. I don't really care a ton about those storylines. What I care about is what we see from USC. This is not going to be a monster deep dive into Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern lost by a lot to Fresno State last weekend. This is a USC team that should roll. I care more about how it looks. As good as it was against Missouri State last week, this is going to be a better football team. And we still have areas of this team that need to get better going into the Big Ten schedule. We still have some position battles that are still getting worked out. We said this before we even went into 2025. These two games to start the year, they are acclimation games. They are, hey, take your notepad out and learn about this football team. And I got some things that I want to see from USC going into this matchup that I want to talk about. Before we do, and as always, to the USC fans, we have to give a monster shout out. The amount of USC fans that listen to the boys breaking down the Missouri State USC game Sunday afternoon was amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. I will continue to say it. The amount of support this fan base shows the boys in the comment section, on social media, it's amazing. Appreciate you guys. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, what do we want to see from Jaden here? Hey, stack another confident game. That's the best way I could describe it. Jaden didn't go out there and wow a ton of us with some jaw-dropping throws. What was most impressive about Jaden's debut in 2025 was real quick decisions, making the right decisions, playing within the offense, on time, accurate with your throws, trying to work from the pocket. Look, this is not me getting up here and saying, "Hey, I don't want to see you be an athlete." Look, we know Jaden can be an athlete. We know he can extend, get outside the pocket. When you are called upon to do that, we want to see you do it. You don't want to have to rely on it. And that was my biggest takeaway from watching that game back a couple of times, is how comfortable and how much command he looked like he had over that USC offense. For the first time in his USC career, it felt like he played within what Lincoln Riley was calling. I want to see that again on Saturday. That's the biggest storyline for this kid. And if he can continue to do that, we know the sky's the limit in terms of what Jaden can be at quarterback. Offensive line, probably going to be where my eyeballs are at the most when it comes to USC's offense. I thought it was pretty dang solid. And here's the thing. I thought you saw some depth pieces play some decent football. I'm talking about Hayden. I would know who actually impressed me a lot is Elijah Vicona. Like, this was a guy that I didn't think was going to be close to ready to play as a freshman. I'm not sure if he's completely there, but I'll say this. When he gets paws on people, he's moving bodies. We still got to probably lose a little bit of weight, get a little bit more better of an athlete. Really impressed with him, and I hope USC wins by enough where we get to see a little bit more of Elijah in this football game, because I came away impressed from what we saw. Biggest name I want to see is Justin T. Didn't think it was perfect. Now, here's the thing with Justin T is it looks right. Like, the feet aren't heavy. He's very light on his feet. You can tell he's a very, very good athlete. We just got to get better at the position. I watched a lot of tackles over the last couple of days. It just didn't look right. You can go look at it and say, hey, I don't know if they're ever going to be a good offensive tackle at the Power 4 level. Justin T, he can do it. Ain't no question about that. We just got to get him coming along. So when we get into the Big Ten and we start seeing those edge rushers from a team like Michigan, Justin T can hold his own. Outside of that, I mean, Tobias Raymond, I'm not too worried about. I think he's just still getting acclimated to playing on the inside. Kid's never really played guard before in his life. I want to see another consistent game from Alani Noah. I thought he was far and away the best offensive lineman week 1. Explosive, strong. You can tell, having lost a little bit of weight, he's a little bit lighter on his feet. He's a little bit better of an athlete. He's staying on his feet a little bit more. I want to see another big game from Alani Noah, because I want to see the running backs just keep doing them. I was massively impressed, especially with the top two, Wayman Jordan, Eli Sanders. USC's got a backfield here, and we weren't really sure what we were going to get, especially with Wayman Jordan coming from the JUCO ranks. Hey, I want to see Wayman Jordan do exactly. In fact, I want to see a little bit more of Wayman Jordan in this football game because it was fun to watch him for 5 or 6 carries. I want to see him get 10 to 15 here, see what he can do. Want to see the running backs just keep doing what they did against Missouri State. Last thing on offense that I am going to be dialed into, and that is who takes the wide receiver 3 job? Because I don't think you saw anybody say, hey, that's clearly the third best wide receiver on this team. Now, I don't think it's as big of a problem as some people do, because regardless of whoever wins that wide receiver 3 job, Mekhi Love and Jacoby Lane's where this passing attack is going to go through. You still want to know who your guy is. Is it going to be Tanook Hines? Is it going to be Prince? Is it going to be Zacharias Williams, who was kind of my pick in the fall camp going into 2025? I don't necessarily care who it is. I do want to see a wide receiver emerge as, hey, I'm the third best option on this football team when it comes to pass catchers. Who that's going to be, I don't know. Hopefully we get a better feel because you didn't really get a feel coming out of that Missouri State game. And look, if USC has to rotate at wide receiver 3 and maybe put some different kind of bodies in depending on the matchups, that's not a bad thing. You know, Prince brings a ton of size, especially when you get into the red zone. Zacharias Williams probably the most complete wide receiver out of the 3. You look at Tanakanza, he brings elite speed. So maybe based on what your game plan is for that week and what team you're playing, maybe that's the wide receiver who plays. I always err on the side of, look, it's good to know who your best players are. Because go back to USC in 2024, I ain't exactly sure they could say that. Like, they spent a lot of time monkeying around with Zachariah Branch. They spent a lot of time monkeying around with Kyron Hudson when it was pretty dang clear to a lot of the USC fans, Mekhi Love and Jacoby Lane got to be more involved. And I'm not sure Lincoln Riley and the staff knew they were the best players. So when you have the opportunity, I do like to know who the guys are. And we're still looking for, hey, who's going to be that true third best wide receiver on this football team? I hope to learn that against Georgia Southern. Defensive side of the football, this is going to be the biggest storyline from this USC defense all year long. Can we affect the quarterback with our front 4? Really, really good against Missouri State. Now you're going to play a little bit better of an offensive line in Georgia Southern. Can we continue to be really disruptive? We got a guy in Cam Fountain. Now it's about Anthony Lucas and a guy like Braylon Shelby. And here's the thing I love about USC on the defensive line. There's so much versatility. There's so many different kind of defensive fronts and different personnel groupings that USC can use. You know, I look at a guy like Anthony Luke and say, hey, you can rush him off the edge. You can also put him as a 3-tech. I look at Devin Thomas and say you can play him as a 3-tech. You can also stick him out on the edge because he's a good enough athlete to do so. Really excited to get our first taste of what Jakeem Stewart's role is going to be for USC. Want to see Floyd Boucard continue to be a guy that can generate some pass rush. Hey, John Jarrett. Well, actually, I should say G-Day first. I was really impressed with. John Jarrett, man, didn't get to play a lot with the ones in the first half. When he played in the second half, and I know it was with the 2s and 3s, I thought he was penetrating, man. He's going to be a presence for USC. And what I love about the situation John Jarrett's in is we don't have to play him 40 snaps a game. Let's just be real about it. He's not a guy that can play 40 snaps for you because he's not in good enough shape. Man, the 20 plays, the 15 plays that he's going to be out there, though, you know you're going to have a presence. And he showed a little bit more of an ability to penetrate that I did not know he had him. He looks like he is in way better shape, or a way better mover, I should say, than what we saw at Georgia. Georgia, he looked a little bit lethargic getting out of his stance, not a ton of pop. I thought John Jarrett showed some things in the second half against Missouri State. Want to see him stack another good one for USC against Georgia Southern. Again, I don't care who it comes from. If we can continue to impact the quarterback and create negative plays while not having to rely on blitzing our linebackers and safeties, that is the story for USC. Because if they can do that, this defense has the chance to be really, really good in 2025. That's what people don't understand enough. Just go look, and I get it's Missouri State. This defense is bigger, stronger, faster. There's zero question about it. They're upgraded at the defensive line position, massively upgraded from an athletic standpoint at linebacker. Bishop Fitzgerald is night and day from what we have from Achille Arnold. That's a nice segue into Desmond Stevens. It's very clear that he has the chance to be a very good linebacker. And I don't think I'm breaking any news to a lot of USC fans. You can still tell he's a young cat that is still finding his way as a linebacker at the college level. When he decides to go, man, he can go. It just takes him a little bit longer to decide what he wants to do. Can he continue to develop those instincts? And look, you don't get those instincts for free. You got to play. You got to stack reps. You got to be on the football field. And Desmond Stevens has another game, and these reps are going to be crucial. I don't think there are more crucial reps than we're going to get for Desmond Stevens in this football game. Because if he can continue to put it together between the years, he's going to be just fine at the off-ball backer position. New look secondary with a couple of guys maybe getting healthy, right? Number one, Alex Graham. Is Alex Graham going to be the starting nickel defender for USC? If so, what does that mean for Kamari Ramsey? Do we move him back to the safety spot? I personally, if Alex Graham can be good at nickel, that's kind of my lean. I love when Kamari Ramsey, look, I'm not opposed to walking him into the box. I like when he can keep his eyes on the quarterback and go be a little bit more of an instinctual football player. I think you have the ability to do that a little bit more at safety. We'll see what USC decides to do there. I'm also really excited to see Chasen Johnson, who's been banged up, but I know can play. We got a couple of guys that we think will factor into this football team that should be back healthy going into this matchup against Georgia Southern, specifically for guys like Alex Graham and Chasen Johnson, who we have not seen play for USC yet. This is an opportunity for us to really figure out, hey, what's the best version of this USC secondary? Like we know the best version includes Bishop Fitzgerald. We know the best version includes a guy like Kamari Ramsey. We're still trying to figure out who our best options are at cornerback. We're still trying to figure out what our best option is at nickel. Thought Christian Pierce played well, though. Like, I ain't trying to take away from Christian Pierce, but there are a couple of positions that are still up for grabs. And I think some of these players that might be making their debut, Alex Graham, Chasen Johnson, have the opportunity to put a freaking stamp on what they can be for this USC defense. USC is a 28.5-point favorite, and rightfully so. They're the way better football team. These reps, especially for a team like USC that's got a lot of moving parts, a lot of young bodies, a lot of new faces, these are important games for us to watch over the next couple of weeks because we're going to be ramping this sucker up. We going into Big Ten play. We got to be playing our best football. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it, fired up to get eyeballs on this one, and we'll talk to y'all later.